Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to the second video in a series. Well, it's now a series because this is the second video. Let's christen it. Let's call this series Epic Dial TYPOS. And in honour of today's watch, I am wearing the first watch in the series which kicked it off about 6 months ago. It is the GUANQIN Submariner homage. GUANQIN apparently have been making chronometers since 8500. Now, these two watches are both Chinese-made watches available on AliExpress. I'll leave links in the description of the video if you're desperate to start your own collection of watches with typos on the dial face. And before I get piled in the comments section today, I'd like to point out that this goes both ways. How many people in the West do you think are tattooed with chicken noodle soup or sweet and sour pork? I'm betting more than one or two. My point is, if you're a Chinese company and you're marketing to only a domestic audience, this doesn't really matter because the people you are selling the watches to aren't going to notice the typos on the dial. But if you start selling them to a Western audience, chances are people are going to pick up on them. You should therefore rely on more than just Lee from marketing, who took a few lessons in English, for your dial printing, because Lee doesn't always get it right. In fact, this is not an example of Chinglish today. This is an example of Chench, or Chinese, or Chonsays. Anyway, this should be in French on the dial, but instead it is in utter gibberish. It looks like somebody sent somebody a fax with the dial writing, and then it went back, and then it went back again by fax, and then by the fourth time they were like, what does that say? Oh, that'll do. Let's just put it on there anyway. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I had to get one in. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. Now look, as I said in the original review video, I feel a little bit sorry for this GUANQIN Submariner. Definitely one of the best sub-$100 watches that I have looked at. Very nicely put together and well spec'd. If only it wasn't for those two typos on the dial face. In fact, they have just updated this one. They have dropped the Miyota 8000, put in an NH35 and dropped the price down to $77 US. I just bought a second one. I just bought a green one. So you'll expect to see a re-review on the channel soon. I'm not sure how sorry I feel for today's watch though. Now the brand name, UHONOUR, not the best that I've seen, but not the worst. Sounds like something you'd say if you were appearing in court. How do you plead to typos on your dial face? Guilty, UHONOUR. The watch itself is a reasonably well proportioned, slightly dressy number with a fantastic movement in the back of it. But then so it should have for the not inconsiderable sum of $258 US. 41mm in diameter, 13mm thick, 47 lug to lug, 20mm lug width, 90g on the supplied two-piece leather strap with deployant, three-piece stainless steel case, all high polished, fixed high polished bezel, double dome sapphire crystal, nice little crown there if you want to manually wind the watch. We've got a display case back, 50 meters of water resistance, and the star of the show, a Miyota 9100. And the Miyota 9000 series is a lovely looking movement. Bit of decoration there, properly made in Japan as well. Now this 9100 is a 26 jewel hacking and hand winding high beat auto. Only winds in one direction though, so you do get that Miyota rotor wobble and plenty of spin. There's an extra couple of jewels in this one because it has an extra couple of complications on the dial face. Those being a 24-hour indicator at the 6 and a power meter up there at the 12. So a fairly standard vintage style layout here. Romans, when did I last say that word on the channel? At the evens, 2, 4, 8 and 10. And cabochons, I learnt that word last week when I reviewed the Longines 1945. Little high polished markers on some of the odd numbers. Handset, vintage style, a little bit skinny, all high polished. But where is the typo, Jody? Is it printed above the power meter? Is it energy instructions? Well, that's not particularly fantastic, but that's not the issue I have today. The issue I have is cradle puller to mlsations. I'll say it again. I've been trying to say it for a couple of weeks now. Cradle puller to mlsations. Printed around the outer edge, somewhere between the 10 and the 12. Now, I had a fair idea of what they actually meant here, but like I said, it looks like the fax got faxed a few times until it was virtually incomprehensible. What it should say is gradué pour 30 pulsations. It is a pulsometer. That should be in French instead of gibberish. Pulsometer graduations on the dial, kind of quirky in today's world. It was a fairly useful feature to doctors, nurses, medical staff. In days of yore, you would often find a chronograph with those pulsometer gradings around the outer edge, allowing a patient's heartbeat to be taken to a reasonable degree of accuracy using that scale. So for this one that should be graded to 30 pulsations, if you start counting at 12, count out 30 heartbeats if you're taking someone's pulse. If it counts to 30 when you hit the 30, their pulse is 60. If it counts to 30 when you hit the 45, their pulse is 40, etc. I don't even think this scale is right. That should say 200 and not 150. So not one, not two, but 3 typos on this dial. A new record of sorts. So I cannot really recommend this one, I'm afraid, certainly not for $260 US. They actually do a triple calendar version which has the same typos on the dial. I've only encountered that Miyota movement once before in a Your Grey many moons ago. It's an interesting movement. Unfortunately, they've just put it in a bit of a duffer of a watch. So as we conclude today, let's spare a thought for this Miyota 9000 series movement. It left the factory line in Japan so full of hope for life, wondering where it would end up, what kind of watch it would be powering, and it ended up in this one. Sorry about that, Miyota. Better luck next time. So there you have it. If you know of a better dial typo than Cradle Puller Top Mlasations, please leave me a comment, let me know. As I said, I would love to make this a little bit of a light-hearted and tongue-in-cheek ongoing series. I felt sorry for the GUANQIN Submariner homage because it's a pretty decent watch. Indeed, I bought a second one, like I said, so you expect to see a re-review of that one soon. I don't particularly feel sorry for this one because I don't think it's all that special. If anything, I feel sorry for that Miyota 9000 series. Thanks for watching. I will see you in a future video.